Okay, a little bit of NXT action here. Now, before I get started, I did watch Raw yesterday. I did. I did decide not to do a review of it. Now, I will say Raw was interesting. It was. It wasn't the most greatest show I've seen, but it wasn't bad. We look at NXT. Same thing. It was an interesting show. You see the title. So, it was interesting. For most part, what we got. Now, I'm not going to tell you that everything here was great. Opening of the show. We had the Women's World Championship. Kiana James versus Tiffany Stratton. 5, maybe near 6 minutes of action. Maybe. And I'm not good with that. I wasn't good with that. You currently, and the reason they did this, I want to make this clear. It wasn't the fact that the wrestling between Kiana James and Tiffany was bad. In fact, if you compare the two, they're similar. But you want to know who's better as a professional wrestler? Kiana James is actually a better wrestler. She out-wrestled in many cases Tiffany, who tried to do a lot of flair with her acrobatics. But when you see Kiana's acrobatics versus a Tiffany Stratton, as much as Tiffany is like this and looks like a damn doll, doesn't mean she can't talk, doesn't mean she can't wrestle, it doesn't mean she doesn't have charisma. She does. But if you're going to compare the two, Kiana James is better. She just is. Tiffany still needs time to develop. So I see Kiana as a more superior wrestler. Of course she wasn't going to win, because of what happened on Monday Night Raw, what happened with Becky Lynch, who then, after the match was over, she says, "Oh, Tiffany, good to see that you won your match. Next week, me and you, because I had this set up. Title." This is about Becky Lynch possibly getting a title that she's not going to get on Raw or SmackDown. She just isn't going to get it. I don't see her getting the title away from which. Let me get you like this. I don't expect Rhea Ripley to be dropping that title anytime soon. If they do drop it, and I got to say this, while Raw was going on, she was botching a little bit of her lines. Either she was distracted or she was a little drunk. I don't think she was, but you guys tell me what you think about what happened that Monday, because when she was with Judgment Day, she was botching her words a few times. I don't know if JD or just Alex picked up on it, because they hadn't seen their reviews of it. But that was interesting, but I don't expect them to make her drop it. I just don't. She's too popular right now. So with Becky, what is she going to be doing? She's already dealt with a Zoe Stark. She's already dealt with a look, let's make it clear. Trish Stratus is still incredibly beautiful, curvy, and she goes somewhat well in the ring. Her ring skill is not the same as her mic skills. Her mic skills are lacking. I think she's gotten worse over the years, and you would think she would try to be a little better, but she ain't. But she's done now. What else can she do? Throw on NXT? Because they got nothing for her to do. Let her get the damn title if they're even going to go there. If they're going to go there. But if she gets it, I would not be surprised. They got nothing for Becky Lynch on the main roster. And on top of that, since they want to keep interjecting the main roster onto NXT because they want to make NXT into a third brand eventually, I'm not surprised. And you want to know why I'm not surprised? Because Tiffany Stratton for weeks has felt like nothing. Nothing. I'm just saying. Let's move on. Dragunov versus Mensah. Let's make this clear. Did you actually think Mensah was going to win? No. Did you think it was going to help? Nope. You know that Nolan Dar was not going to help him. They just had a match just to show how dominant, how destructive Dragunov is. And setting up for the world title. Because once he finishes his match, you got Wesley coming out saying, "Dog, I respect you, but I'm next in line for the main title." And Dragunov says, "No, I am." And we get Mello coming out. Let's make this clear. Out of the three guys, who looks the most legitimate as a champion? Is it Carmelo Hayes? Is it Dragunov? or is it Wesley? I'm going to tell you the truth. I love Melo. Guy's got something. But I'm not going to lie here. The way they booked him months ago completely messed him up to me personally. I just don't feel like he's a credible threat anymore. Particularly what's going on with Trick Williams and being questioned by Dragunov, which I'll get to in a minute. But I'm telling you right now, as far as is concerned, that's borrowed time when it comes to Carmelo Hayes. It doesn't make a difference Wesley or if it's Dragunov who wins the damn title. To be honest, I think when they do No Mercy, it might be a triple threat. Because I don't think it's going to come down clean between Wesley and Dragunov. It could, and I wouldn't be too surprised if they did do it, but I have this strange feeling that it may be a triple threat. And it'll make it easier for Carmelo Hayes to lose the title and no one says anything. He doesn't have to be pinned for it. I'm just saying. Because honestly, I'm surprised he hasn't moved to the main roster already. I'm being honest here. Because they've already fucked him up already months ago. And I know everyone's going to say no. Yes. He lost on Raw. Then he lost on NXT to Finn. And who else was he up against? I forgot who else he was up against. I don't think he went up against... Did he go up against Finn twice? Or was it Damian Priest? I think it was Damian... First Finn, then Damian Priest. Yeah. I'm just saying. Moving on. Third match. That's supposed to be for the Global Heritage Invitational. Frazier versus... From what I understand, Duke Hudson got some points. Frazier lost, and so he got no points. He went up against Pete Dunne, in other words, a Butch. So he lost to him. He gained no points, but now he's going up against Duke Hudson, who did win some points and level up against Tatira Kazawa. And since I don't look at level 1 up, I didn't watch the match, and I'm not going to. There's no reason for me to watch a level up. I'm not doing it. So we had a okay match. And in the end, Frazier did win. He gets 2 points. But I'm wondering how far they're going to go with Frazier, because he's already gone up against Nolan Dahl already. He lost the title. Do they actually want to go down that road again with him? I don't know. The next match. Let me give it to you like this. Number 1 contendership. And it is Dirty Dom as the ref. We got... I kind of wish this had been the last match of the night. Now, I'm not telling you it was a great match. The way it ended. It wasn't bad, but I do believe it should have been the last match of the night for the number 1 contender for the North American Championship. Taking nothing away what happened at the end of the show, which I am going to talk about, which is the most interesting thing there. But I felt like this should have been the closing of an NXT show. It should have been. Dom as ref with Dragon Lee and Ali trying to find out who's going to be the next contender. Now, most of that match, Dom called it clean. Until it came to Dragon Lee really looking like he's got an advantage over a Ali. And that count... that looked like it was not completed, even though where they're trying to say he didn't kick out in time, which he did. Ali did kick out, and Dom did his job properly. But once Ali rolled him up, fast as hell, everyone is mad. Ali is now happy, but then he finds out that he cheated, and then punched the living crap out of Dom, saying I didn't want to win that way, but he still takes the win. That's what we got. Do I still believe, and I'm saying this right now, I still believe that North American title's coming off Dom because they want to make Dom go up against his dad to get the U.S. Championship. I truly believe that's coming. I don't believe it's coming yet, but I'm not saying this is setting up for it, but I wouldn't be surprised at No Mercy, Dom loses, and now he's going to go after his dad's title. That's what I feel like is going to happen. I really do believe that eventually will happen. Let's move on. The match that really didn't care at all. Tyler Bates versus Damon Kimbo. Daba Okado. You know the reason I'm botching Okado's name? I didn't care. I didn't care. When it comes down to it, His booking has not been great. He's lost against Scripps and Axiom. He's now lost against Tyler Bates. What do we gain from him, actually? Nothing. He doesn't have a manager. He doesn't feel that legitimate unless he's beating the crap out of somebody when they're not watching. And when it's time for the clinch, he can't get it done. So why do I care? I don't. It feels empty. Now, we get the second global, excuse me, still got mucus and I'm still coughing periodically. I'm much better now, but I just wish it would stop because it's so frustrating to have been sick with, and I want to say this because I'm practically almost healthy, because of how the testing went. I was told my readings, even though they don't show I got COVID-19, I got strep throat. It could be. So for 10 days straight, I've been wondering, do I have COVID or do I have strep throat? Even though I've taken the test and it came negative, but my symptoms are of COVID-19, even though I'm showing signs of strep throat. So they said, you probably got strep throat, but it's so much like COVID, we couldn't tell. Really? That might mean I had them both. And they said that's also a possibility. So that made it even worse for me. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we get Butch versus Axiom for, and I didn't say what group this was for the first Global Heritage Invitational. That was Group B. This is Group A. Now, Butch won against Frazier, so he already had 2 points. He already had 1 win. And I don't know if Axiom even had a match. So I just marked them as 0-0, either won or lost. I didn't know. I think this was the best match of the night. Now, both these guys are more technical wrestlers, even though Axiom can high fly at any damn time. I've always thought Axiom's a very good ground wrestler when he turns off the high flying. He's actually a good ground wrestler. Pete Dunne is more of a ground wrestler flat out. So seeing two ground wrestlers, it was interesting to watch. Seeing manipulation of the joints, seeing the hold, seeing that there was some, a few triangle chokes, pretty much a snapping of the arm, just like we get Penta and Shamiro by Pete Dunne on the Axiom. It was a good match. Both of them, by the time it was over, and it was, well, who won? I believe it was, oh my goodness, did I mark it down? Oh yeah, I forgot. It was a draw. Sorry, I almost forgot because there's so much still to talk about. I'm trying to remember it all. It was a draw. They just ran the timeout. Both of them get one single win and one single point. And they did this. Wasn't bad. And then we get Pete, well, once you see Butch, I keep saying Pete Dunne, once you see Butch staring a hole through Tyler Bates because he came out going like this, you're going, okay, these two know each other pretty well. They're going to go up against each other. I'm going like, okay, this will be interesting. But will it mean anything in a story? No. It'll just be for the Global Heritage Invitational, which is sad. But here's a problem. You got Pete Dunne, who's a main roster guy, who keeps, again, coming back on NXT, where they want to make the show feel almost like one of the main roster shows. And where does this really leave like a Tyler Bates? Where does this leave an Axiom? Yes, it's going in the story for the Global Invitational for the Heritage Cup, but then the problem is you're propping up the show with mainline wrestlers when the show is supposed to be booked and presented through the ones who are learning the style of WWE, who may work for years in the styles of the independents, or like for Tyler Bates, who worked in NXT UK, who knows their style already, the way they did it in Europe. I just feel like they're hurting NXT this way. I want to see these guys develop on their own. Now, what did we get with the segment of the Creeds having a party and they wanted all the teams there? We got everyone talking. And then we had a fight due to the fact of Garza and Carrillo basically facing the tag champs. And making it clear that they're not going to be dancing around or they're not going to be going after the women. They just want the damn titles. Okay, I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see they are making them serious. And they're also mainline wrestlers. So them getting rebooted using their grandfather was the most wisest thing to do for the story that they were telling. Because when it came to Carrillo and Angel Garza, it is good to see that they are using their grandfather's legacy to reboot themselves. Because to be honest, they have done nothing on the main line. I feel sorry for them. When it came to the main roster, they just never got anywhere. Never. I'm just saying. Now, Thea Hall versus Gigi Golan. Now, what do I think of the new change in Gigi? Not much. She's still the same. What do I think about Thea Hall? She's now different because she's working with JC James. JC James is supposed to be trying to develop her into now a bad girl, trying to dress sexy. And I'm sure this guy's going to be going down. Let's be honest. She's 19 years old. She's not a small little child. Guys will be saying, well, she's screwing age. That I'm just saying. She dressing sexy at her age is fine. Changing her look will also help with her character because sooner or later she's got to break away from Chase U. I truly felt it would have been better if she went to Dempsey and went to Drew Gulad. That's why I think she should have gone. But using her in this way is alright as well. But I do believe that she needs to go to Dempsey and Drew eventually. That's what I think is best for her. To be a badass grapple wrestler that's sexy. And taking what she learned with Kiana James would actually be helpful. Not Kiana James, JC James. I'm sorry, I'm getting Kiana and JC mixed up due to the fact I think Kiana's a better wrestler than JC James. She just is. But we get the match between her and Gigi. Good match. There are a couple of botches, yeah. Due to the fact that Thea is a little smaller and she looked like she was changing up her style. Guys, when you looked at the match and you watch it for yourself, you can see she was way more aggressive. She was not going all over the place with a whole bunch of energy. She was being more controlled, more calculating, trying to be more aggressive. It was botchy though, because I think this is the first time she's ever done it like that. So I do not expect her to get it right first. But it was not that bad. She was trying to still do what she normally did. And if you're going to compare them in wrestling skill, Gigi is a good wrestler. And Thea is also somewhat of a good wrestler to getting better. But this is Thea. This is Gigi. That's the way it looks at this moment. At the rate things are going, unless Gigi improves herself a little bit more, Thea's going to be here. And that's saying a lot for a very short wrestler like herself. It doesn't make a difference if you're male or female like Tyler Bates or a Thea Hall. Being a smaller wrestler, you have to work harder. Because the other wrestlers you're with, not all going to be the same height as you. You have to learn to adjust. You got to learn to be able to adapt. Which I think Thea's doing decently well. In the end, it is... excuse me. You get Davenport... Here's the thing. Next to me coughing. When you see Davenport, due to the fact of what happened early that night, and she was talking with JC James, with Gigi Dolan, Davenport was there, all that kind of stuff. You see that, and then you say, is that worth it with Gigi? Dealing with Davenport? Are they starting a feud with Gigi and Davenport? Is it worth it? Because I don't think it's that good. Because now Roxanne has now moved on to Kiana James. Because they had their moment, and Roxanne Perez basically got her in the jaw due to the fact that Kiana had messed with her earlier. Saying, next to her losing, and saying, well, I got my shot by taking it from you, and that's how the fight started with them. I'm guessing they got nothing for Davenport, so they're sticking with Gigi. And Gigi's got nothing to do, so they're sticking with Davenport. That's what I think is going to happen here. I don't agree with it, but it's what they got at the moment. And let's see if I'm forgetting anything. Oh, Eddie Thorpe, angry about what happened with Dijak having to do whatever he could to cheat to win. And he made it very clear, I don't care. You're not getting away with this. I'm not letting it happen. And I think he says something in I don't know what he said, but I think it was a Native American word, which meant, see you soon, maybe? Maybe, I'm not sure. I forgot what tribe he's from, but I wouldn't be surprised if he actually used the actual language. And actually, it adds on to it. This is what I wanted from Eddie Thorpe. I'm not expecting him to dance around like Chief Jay Strongbow or Tatanka. Not unless it's something special at a pay-per-view. I wouldn't mind that. But I wouldn't mind him adding a little bit of his actual tribal bit. Being possibly Cherokee or Navajo in my blood. And didn't grow up with it. Knowing that that's there, it's interesting. I like it. But that's just me. Final match. If I'm forgetting anything, tell me below and ask me. We get Braun Breaker versus Von Wagner. A no DQ match that's more like a street fight. The only thing didn't pull out was some garbage cans. But they used kendo sticks, they used sticks. Basically, you had Braun Breaker go through the table. We get all that. And Baron Corbin was not ringside, but he was on commentary. He did add to the show. I'm not saying he's good on commentary. He's blandish. If he worked at it, he could probably get better. But he was blandish. Not until the end. He sounded better. But at the beginning and the middle, he just sounded bland. He just did. By the time it was getting ramped up, that's when he started sounding a bit better. Like, he was really getting into it. He didn't mind being in commentary. He didn't mind to give his point of view, which I do appreciate. But once Breaker basically destroyed the Von Wagner, he kept hitting him. He kept nailing him. He wanted to make him suffer. And once he nailed him into the steel steps, he threw him right into it, removed the steel steps, and then what do we get? We get him holding him up. We get blackout. Boom. And then you hear Baron Corbin say, oh my God, I can't believe he did it. Which you know, cracked him in the head. That's what that was. Of course, everyone there, they probably saw that he wasn't nowhere near Von Wagner's head. Of course he wasn't. But we had to set up the intrigue. Did he actually crack Von Wagner in the skull with the steel steps? People there might have saw something that was like his head's here and then the steps was right here, trying to make sure he didn't actually hurt him. But he tried to make sure it was close enough to make it look good. And then maybe Von was carried away by emergency personnel to a medical facility. That's what we get if Vince is there. And I believe they still do the medical facility. We get a Von Wagner who's going to get a lot of sympathy from the fans. He's already won people over. Basically, I'm going to table you. You're going to get tabled. That's his catchphrase now. You're getting tabled. He's already over with that. And the people are really beginning to enjoy him. Throwing a Braun Breaker through the set, which he did before the match was over, people really beginning to build up into him. They've all begun to really like him. But with it like this is going to be interesting to see how he can make his character turn into something that's been okay and good into something maybe that could be great. And he can get a lot of traction that can really work on improving his character. This was an interesting show. Not saying everything was great, but it was interesting. But I still do not agree bringing in... A lot of people want to say, dude, you don't understand. It's better with them there. Here's the problem. The reason it was not good before the mainline wrestlers came in was because of the booking of Vince. Whether you like it or not, there's a difference between Vince McMahon's booking and Shawn Michaels' booking. You could tell the difference between Shawn Michaels' booking. This is Shawn Michaels' booking. This is. I can tell the type of attitude is being done here. This is Shawn. This is Shawn Michaels. This is not Vince. And it's not Triple H. This is Shawn Michaels. He's doing bits from the 90s and 80s and a little bit of what Triple H would have done during the Attitude Era and what he did in NXT. Let's make it clear. That's what it is. This is what we got. This is Shawn Michaels booking. I'm not saying Shawn is the greatest booker. He's not. He does basic booking, which is what we got here. But interjecting mainline wrestlers into his product is such a heavy double-edged sword. It is hurting his current wrestlers because I don't feel anything from Tiffany Stratton. You know why? Because it was about Rhea Ripley. And now look what's going on. She's now going up against Becky Lynch, which I would not be surprised if Becky won that title because she's got nothing to do. She's done with Trish Stratus. She's not going after Rhea Ripley's title. Rhea Ripley is not giving up that title for a while. She'll get more people there. And particularly, she's still working with Raquel Rodriguez. There's nothing for her else to do. So that's why she's in NXT. They got to put her somewhere. And they want someone with power onto NXT. But what about the people there? I want to feel something special in Tiffany Stratton. But I feel nothing but Becky now. I wouldn't be surprised if Becky won. And you know what? She should. Because then it's going to make the product more interesting because it's about Becky on NXT. It's not about Tiffany Stratton making NXT important. Now I'm just saying. Peace.